Homeless. That's what some people thought about Bob McAdoo's legacy. A former MVP wandering from team to team, forgotten by history. But that story is wrong. McAdoo wasn't the problem. The system was broken around him. Let's go back to where it started. Buffalo, New York, 1972. Bob McAdoo entered the NBA as a rookie with skills nobody had seen before. He was a 7-foot center who could shoot from anywhere on the court. His game was 20 years ahead of its time. By 1975, McAdoo was unstoppable. He won the MVP award. He led the league in scoring 3 straight years. He was the youngest scoring champion in NBA history. Fans in Buffalo thought they had their franchise player for life. But behind the scenes, everything was falling apart. The Buffalo Braves were dying. The team had new owners who didn't care about winning. John Y. Brown bought the team for $6 million, but he had a plan. He would sell players for cash to pay for the purchase. It was a fire sale disguised as a basketball team. Within 8 months, the Braves traded away 70% of their roster. They sold Moses Malone to Houston for a draft pick and $100,000 cash. They dumped Adrian Dantley for money. The team collected over $3 million from these sales, but they had more cash than good players. McAdoo watched his teammates disappear one by one. He knew he was next. The Braves couldn't afford to pay him what he was worth. Owner Paul Snyder thought he had a deal with McAdoo to stay, but McAdoo wanted out. He could see the writing on the wall. The New York Knicks were waiting. Other owners knew they were tampering, trying to sign McAdoo before his contract ended. It was an open secret around the league. The Braves had no choice but to trade him or lose him for nothing. On December 9, 1976, the trade happened. McAdoo went to New York for John Gianelli and some cash. It was a terrible deal, but Buffalo was desperate. They needed the money more than they needed their superstar. New York fans were excited. McAdoo was supposed to save the Knicks. He was the missing piece that would bring them back to glory. The expectations were sky high. But the Knicks were a mess too. Coach Red Holzman had a system. It was all about team basketball and defense. Every player had to fit into specific roles. McAdoo didn't fit. He was used to being the main scorer, running the offense through his unique skills. In Buffalo, everything went through him. In New York, he was just another piece. The clash was immediate. McAdoo wanted the system tailored to his strengths. Holzman wanted him to play team basketball. McAdoo complained that his teammates walked the ball up the court instead of pushing the pace. He asked them to pass him the ball more during timeouts. Meanwhile, the Knicks kept losing. They went 4-10 in January after McAdoo arrived. Even though he averaged 27 points and 12 rebounds, people blamed him for the losses. The media said he was selfish. They said he didn't fit the Knicks culture. The truth was different. The Knicks were broken. They had no chemistry. They signed players without thinking about how they would work together. They tried to create a Twin Towers lineup by adding Marvin Webster, forcing McAdoo to play power forward. It didn't work. McAdoo described his time in New York as a zoo. He played for 3 different coaches in 2 years. The organization was chaotic. Players like Spencer Haywood caused problems. The whole situation was a disaster waiting to happen. But people didn't blame the system. They blamed McAdoo. The narrative started here. He was labeled as a selfish scorer who couldn't win. It wasn't fair, but it stuck. Then came the injuries. In 1979, McAdoo's body started breaking down. He had stomach problems, his feet hurt, his knees ached. Between 1979 and retirement, he missed 269 games due to injury. That's more than 3 full seasons. The worst part came in Detroit. In 1981, McAdoo played only 6 games for the Pistons. He filed a grievance with the Players Union. He claimed he was healthy and ready to play, but the team wouldn't let him. Pistons general manager Jack McCloskey told him directly, "We don't want you to play the rest of the year because we want to see the younger players play." McAdoo felt betrayed. He thought the team rushed him back from injuries, making them worse. McCloskey said McAdoo was out of shape and not ready to play. But McAdoo believed he was being held out for reasons that had nothing to do with his health. The team wanted to develop young players instead of playing a veteran. This controversy hurt McAdoo's reputation even more. People thought he was giving up. They thought he was making excuses. The truth was more complicated. Teams were using him as a scapegoat while pursuing their own agendas. But McAdoo didn't give up. He made one of the smartest decisions of his career. He joined the Los Angeles Lakers as a role player. He swallowed his pride and accepted a bench role behind Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. It worked perfectly. McAdoo became the perfect sixth man for the Showtime Lakers. He provided scoring punch off the bench. He adapted his game to fit their fast-paced style. Pat Riley, the Lakers coach, said they wouldn't have won championships in 1982 and 1985 without McAdoo's contributions. McAdoo admitted it was hard mentally to go from MVP to bench player, but he did it for one reason: to win championships. He finally got his rings. He proved he could be a team player when the situation was right. By the 1990s, McAdoo's career was complete. He had the MVP award, he had the scoring titles, he had the championships. He had everything except recognition. That's when the ultimate snub happened. In 1996, the NBA created a list of the 50 greatest players in league history. McAdoo wasn't on it. He was the only MVP and three-time scoring champion left off the list. It was shocking. McAdoo called it a slap in the face and a big oversight. His oldest son was the one who told him about the snub. The son asked how it was possible that his father, with all his achievements, didn't make the team. The voting panel included media members, former players, and executives. They had to choose 50 players from the entire history of the league. Somehow they forgot about Bob McAdoo. Why did it happen? McAdoo thinks playing in Buffalo hurt his visibility. Small market teams get less attention. He also spent years playing in Italy after his NBA career, so people forgot about him. His injury-plagued years in the late 1970s created a false narrative that he fizzled out during his prime. The constant team changes made him look like a problem player. None of this was really his fault. Look at the numbers. McAdoo's career scoring average was 22.1 points per game. That's higher than many players who made the list. Players like Dave Bing, Paul Arizin, and Hal Greer made the team with lesser accomplishments. McAdoo had one MVP award. He had 3 scoring titles. He had 2 championships. He was a 5-time All-Star. He was the youngest player to score 10,000 career points. Bill Russell called him the greatest shooter of all time, period. But none of that mattered in 1996. The voters overlooked him. They chose players with better stories or more fame. They punished McAdoo for circumstances beyond his control. The good news is that history corrected itself. McAdoo was inducted into the Basketball Hall of Fame in 2000. He was named to the NBA's 75th anniversary team in 2021. These honors recognized what should have been obvious all along. Bob McAdoo was never homeless in basketball. He was ahead of his time. He was a pioneer who paved the way for modern big men. He overcame financial chaos, organizational dysfunction, and injury problems to become a champion. The system failed him, but he never failed himself. He adapted, he persevered, he won. That's the real story of Bob McAdoo. Not a downfall, but a triumph over impossible odds.